Well, joining us at this stage, Bikram Chaudhury, the CEO of GreenArc Capital. Meeta Mishra also joins us, the Director of Impact Outreach. Ms. Chaudhury, if I can ask you first, tell us about GreenArc's mission, the idea with which it was set up.
Yeah, hi. So GreenArc is a social investing business based in Singapore, and we connect institutional capital, into social causes such as Rangde. Our purpose is very much that we look at, investment on two axes, not just financial return, but also the social aspect of the returns, i.e. what good is it doing for society? How does that investment contribute towards, again, well-being, welfare, and education is a cause that's really close to our heart, and hence this partnership with Rangde.
Meeta, where do you see the idea of social investments playing a role in achieving your goal of tackling inequality and fighting economic disparity?
Hi, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for having us to support this very worthy cause. So I think social investment has a huge role to play with regards to solving the inequality. I think philanthropy to date has and can do a lot of work, but private investment must certainly contribute towards this. And we've seen during the pandemic that inequality and poverty has been exacerbated, particularly in the low income and base of the pyramid populations. And a key facet of rising populations out of poverty is access to education. We need to provide them with the means of financial credit to access basic goods and services so that this inequality and the poverty doesn't transcend across generations, which is a key, again, just to add to Bikram's point, is a key mission of GreenArc. And one of the elements of this, as we've seen in the last few years, especially this year following the pandemic, is huge flows of private capital towards social and responsible investing. And that has taken off in the last few years, and we've seen something like 20 billion go into responsible investing this year. So there is most certainly an appetite and mission-aligned investors who are looking to align their investments with their own values. And I think they've seen that there is a huge opportunity for them to actually, as well as derive their positive, investment returns, make a huge influence with regards to solving a lot of the world's most, pressing issues. And as a financial institution and as a social investor, it is our responsibility to make sure that this capital, finds its way to, the most worthy causes.
Mr. Chaudhury, you just mentioned how education is close to your heart. How important is this sector, and why do you tell us why GreenArc is supporting Rangde's education campaign?
Right. Well, again, when you look at what the COVID crisis has done, not just in India, but pretty much in every developing market across the world, it's a classic case of a split recovery. So what you have is, you have white collar workers like most of us here, right? I mean, we classify ourselves as white collar workers. Our lives have been inconvenienced, but not disrupted by the pandemic. When you look at blue collar workers and when you look at their children, I mean, the impact has been disproportionate. So it is our role as investors to soften this, to mitigate this, and to see how we address and how we allocate capital into specifically education. Why education? I mean, there are many studies around this, but 1 year of lost education for a child typically leads to about, I would say, a 5-year gap in earnings between that child and a comparable kid who's continued their education. So it is not just important to finance it. The entire assistance has to be in a timely manner, sure. i.e. allow for the continuity, because even a drop of one semester is very, very harmful for a teenager. Yep. Right? So this is why it's a priority for us. And we think that, for any country, right, and specifically India, to come out of this crisis in strong, we have to focus on this as a priority. India is a young nation, right? Our average median age is still very young. Yep. We need to invest in our human capital for the country to prosper and to grow.
Absolutely. And Bikram and Meeta, before we thank you for for joining in on this show, we must thank you also for a very, very special announcement. You've pledged 1 crore that will provide interest-free loans and help sustain the education of countless young students. Thank you for investing